I still work with wood, but I never go deep into the forest anymore. Some places remember you, and some things do not like being seen. My name is Ethan Miller, and this happened during a quiet season when work was slow and money was tight. I was a woodcutter, not the movie kind, just a normal guy who cut trees for local mills and families who needed firewood. I liked the job. It was honest work, quiet work. The forest was peaceful during the day, and I enjoyed being alone. That day started like any other. The sky was gray, but not dark. Clouds covered everything like a soft blanket. The weather report said light rain later, nothing serious. I packed my tools, filled my truck with gas, and drove to a deep part of the forest I had worked in many times before. It was far from town. No houses, no phone signal. Just trees, dirt paths, and silence. When I arrived, the forest felt calm. Birds moved between branches. The wind was slow. I could smell wet leaves and fresh soil. I picked a tall tree, checked my surroundings, and started cutting. The sound of the saw echoed through the trees. Time moved slowly out there. I cut one tree, then another. After a while, I noticed the forest felt quieter than before. No birds, no wind, just the sound of my own breathing and the saw. That was when the rain started. At first it was light, just a few drops hitting leaves. It felt peaceful. I didn't mind rain. I had worked in worse weather. I kept cutting. But the rain slowly changed. It grew heavier, falling straight down, then slightly sideways. The ground turned dark. The air felt colder. The trees looked different now, like tall shadows instead of wood. I turned off my saw and stretched my arms. That was when I felt it, that strange feeling, like someone was standing behind me. I turned around fast. Nothing, just trees. I laughed quietly at myself and told myself I was tired. Being alone too long can play tricks on your mind. I picked up the saw again. That's when I saw it. Between two trees, far back in the forest, something moved. At first, I thought it was a shadow, but shadows don't move on their own. This one did. It was tall, very tall, taller than any man I knew. Its shape was thin, almost like smoke pulled into the shape of a person. And it was black. Not dark clothing, not shadow, pure black, like it absorbed the light around it. I froze. The rain hit my jacket harder now, but I didn't feel cold. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The thing did not walk. It slid. Slowly. Silently. I wanted to run, but my legs felt heavy. My hands shook. I told myself it wasn't real, that it was fog, or rain, or my eyes playing tricks on me. Then it stopped moving. It stood still between the trees, watching. I don't know how I knew it was watching. It had no eyes that I could see, no face, but I felt its attention on me, heavy and sharp. The rain grew louder. I took one step back. The black figure took one step forward. That's when I ran. I didn't grab my tools. I didn't shut off anything. I just turned and ran through the trees, slipping on wet ground, branches hitting my face and arms. I could hear nothing behind me. No footsteps, no breathing. That scared me more. I reached a small clearing and stopped, gasping for air. Rain poured down now, soaking my clothes. I looked around wildly. Nothing. No black figure, just trees and rain. I leaned against a tree, trying to calm myself. I told myself I imagined it. Stress, long hours, deep forest. Then I noticed something wrong. The forest looked different. The trees were closer together, thicker. The path I had used was gone. I was lost. That's when I heard a sound. A soft dragging noise, like wet fabric being pulled across leaves. I slowly turned my head. It was there again, closer now. The black ghost stood at the edge of the clearing. Rain fell through it, but the shape did not change. It did not drip. It did not move with the wind. It lifted one long arm and pointed. Not at me, at the trees behind me. I shook my head and whispered, "No." The thing tilted its head slightly, like it was curious. Then it moved. Not fast, not slow, just suddenly closer. I screamed and ran again. I don't know how long I ran. My lungs burned, my legs hurt. The rain made everything slippery. I fell once and scraped my hands, but I got back up. Finally, through the trees, I saw it. My truck. I don't think I have ever felt relief like that in my life. I ran to it, yanked the door open, and jumped inside. I locked the doors and turned the key. The engine started. I looked up. The black ghost stood a few feet away from the truck. Rain fell harder now, but it did not touch the thing. The figure leaned closer, its shape stretching slightly, like smoke pulled by wind. Then something appeared on the windshield. A mark. Not a handprint. A long, dark smear, like something had touched the glass and pulled away. I screamed and pressed the gas. The truck moved fast, tires spinning in the mud. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I reached the main road. When I finally did stop, my whole body shook. Rain slowed to a gentle fall again, like nothing strange had happened. I drove straight home. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. That black shape between the trees. Watching. Waiting. The next day I went back with 2 other workers to get my tools. The forest looked normal. My saw was there. The cut trees were there. No strange marks. No signs of anything unusual. But one thing was different. On the tree I leaned against, there was a black mark. Long. Thin. Like fingers burned into the bark. I quit deep forest work after that. I still cut wood, but only near town. Only where people live. Because I learned something important that day. Some forests are not empty. Some spirits do not want to be disturbed. And some ghosts do not chase you. They wait. I never believed the forest could feel alive. Not until that day. It started as a simple plan. Nothing strange, nothing scary. Just a group of friends trying to enjoy a free weekend. There were 5 of us. Me, Jason, Emily, Mark, and Tyler. We all lived in a small town in Oregon, the kind of place where trees feel closer than people. The forest was not new to us. We had walked near it many times. But that day, we decided to go deeper than ever before. The sky was cloudy when we arrived. Thick gray clouds moved slowly above the trees, like they were watching us. The air felt heavy, but not cold. It smelled like wet leaves and soil. Emily joked that it looked like a movie scene. Jason laughed and said nothing ever happens in this forest. I remember feeling calm, but something inside me felt tight, like a warning I didn't understand. We parked the car near an old dirt road and started walking. At first, the forest felt normal. Birds made soft sounds. Our footsteps crushed dry leaves under our shoes. Sunlight still slipped through the trees, even though the clouds were thick. We talked about random things, school, work, dumb jokes. Time felt slow in a good way. After about 30 minutes, the forest began to change. The trees grew closer together. The light became weaker. The path we followed slowly faded until it was nothing but dirt and roots. Jason said we should turn back soon. Mark wanted to go a little farther. Tyler pulled out his phone, but there was no signal. Emily stayed quiet. She kept looking around like she felt something we didn't. That's when the rain started. At first, it was light. Just small drops tapping on leaves. It felt calm, almost peaceful. Then the rain grew heavier. Not a storm, but steady and cold. The sound of rain filled the forest, covering everything else. The ground became wet and slippery. "We should head back," I said. Everyone agreed. But when we turned around, something felt wrong. The forest looked different. The trees behind us didn't look like the trees we passed before. The space between them felt tighter. The air felt colder. Jason laughed and said we were just turned around. Still, he checked his phone again. No signal. No map. We started walking anyway. That's when we heard it. A soft sound, almost like someone breathing. We all stopped. "Did you hear that?" Emily whispered. The sound came again. Slow, deep, close. "Probably the wind," Mark said, but his voice didn't sound sure. There was no wind. Then Tyler slipped. He fell hard onto the ground and cursed. Jason and Mark helped him up. During that moment, I looked behind me, just for a second. And that's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was a shadow, a shape darker than the trees. But it moved, slowly, smoothly, like it was sliding, not walking. It stood between two trees, far enough that no one else noticed. The shape was tall, thin, black from head to toe. No face, no eyes, just darkness shaped like a person. I blinked. She was gone. My heart started beating fast. I didn't say anything. I told myself I imagined it. Fear plays tricks on the mind. That's what people say. We kept walking. Minutes passed. The rain kept falling. The forest grew quieter. No birds, no insects, just rain and our steps. Then Jason stopped. "Where's Emily?" We all turned around. She was gone. We called her name, loud at first, then louder. No answer. Only rain. Jason ran back the way we came. Mark followed. Tyler stayed with me. My chest felt tight. I couldn't stop thinking about the black shape. A minute passed. 2 minutes. Then Mark came running back alone. "Jason's gone," he said. My stomach dropped. Panic spread fast. We shouted their names. Our voices sounded weak, like the forest was swallowing them. The rain felt colder now, heavier. Then Tyler screamed. I turned just in time to see him pulled backward. Something grabbed him from behind and dragged him into the trees. I ran toward him, but he was gone. No scream, no sound, just rain and silence. I was alone. I stood there shaking. My breath came fast and loud. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The forest felt closer now, like it was closing in. Then I heard footsteps, slow, careful, coming toward me. I backed up until my back hit a tree. My hands were shaking. I couldn't scream. And then she stepped into view. The black figure. Up close, she looked taller than I thought. Her body was thin, like smoke made into shape. The rain passed through her, like she wasn't fully real. Where her face should be, there was only darkness. But I felt her looking at me. She tilted her head, slowly, like she was curious. I tried to run, My foot slipped and I fell hard. Mud covered my hands. The cold soaked into my skin. When I looked up, she was closer. Then she moved. Not fast, not slow, just suddenly closer. She reached out. Her hand was long and thin, black like oil. When it touched my arm, I felt nothing, and everything at once. Cold, fear, sadness, like she was pulling something out of me. I screamed. The forest screamed back. Her head tilted again. I felt like she was smiling, even without a face. She leaned close, and I heard a voice, not in my ears, but in my head. You stayed. I didn't understand. Tears ran down my face. I begged. I don't remember the words, just fear. Then the rain stopped, complete silence. The black figure pulled back. She turned away, sliding into the trees. As she disappeared, I felt the forest release me, like it was letting me go. I ran. I don't know how long I ran. I didn't stop. Branches cut my skin, my lungs burned. Finally, I broke through the trees and fell onto the dirt road near our car. Morning light was breaking through the clouds. Police came later. Search teams, dogs. They found nothing. No bodies, no signs, no tracks. People said we got lost. People said panic caused it. People said I imagined things. But I know what I saw. Sometimes, when it rains lightly and the forest goes quiet, I feel that cold again. And I remember her, watching, waiting. Because the forest doesn't take everyone, only the ones who stay. The rain started softly. It was just a gentle tap against the car windows, like small fingers asking to come inside. David gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. It was late, almost midnight. He was driving his family home after a long week at his mother's house in the countryside. The highway was long, dark, and completely empty. In the passenger seat, his wife, Sarah, was fast asleep. Her head rested against the cool glass of the window. In the back seat, their 10-year-old son, Leo, was playing a game on his tablet. The soft blue light from the screen lit up his small face. It was a peaceful scene. A normal American family driving home on a Sunday night. But the air inside the car felt heavy. It was too quiet. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the rhythm of the windshield wipers. Swish, swish, swish. David checked the GPS on the dashboard. It showed they still had 40 miles to go. He sighed and rubbed his tired eyes. The headlights cut through the darkness, lighting up the wet asphalt and the tall pine trees that lined the road. Everything looked normal, until they passed mile marker 42. David saw it first. Standing on the side of the road, just at the edge of the dirt, was a shape. It looked like a person, but something was wrong. It was tall, too tall to be a normal man. It was completely black, darker than the night around it. It had no face, no clothes, just a solid form of darkness. As the car zoomed past it, David felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He looked in the rearview mirror, but the figure was gone. Just empty road and red taillights reflecting on the wet ground. "Did you see that?" David whispered to himself. Sarah shifted in her sleep, but did not wake up. From the back seat, Leo spoke up. His voice was small. "Dad? Who was that man? David's heart skipped a beat. He looked at his son in the mirror. Leo was not looking at his tablet anymore. He was looking out the back window. "You saw someone, Leo?" David asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Yes," Leo said. "The black man. He was waving at us." David swallowed hard. He had not seen the figure wave. He forced a smile. "It was probably just a hitchhiker, buddy. Or maybe just a shadow from the trees. Go back to your game." Leo nodded slowly, but he did not pick up his tablet. He kept watching the dark road behind them. The rain began to fall harder now. It was not a gentle tap anymore. It was a steady drumbeat on the roof of the car. The wind picked up, shaking the trees violently. David drove a little faster. He just wanted to get home. He wanted to be inside their warm house with the lights on and the doors locked. 10 minutes passed. The feeling of fear started to fade. David told himself he was just tired. Eyes play tricks on you when you drive at night. It was nothing. Then, the car radio turned on by itself. It was a loud burst of static noise. White noise. Sarah woke up with a jump. "What? What is that?" she asked, looking around in confusion. Sorry, David said, fumbling with the volume knob. "I don't know why it did that." He turned the radio off. Silence returned. But then, the GPS screen flickered. The map spun around in circles, and the arrival time changed. It went from 30 minutes to 0 minutes. Then, a message popped up on the screen in bright red letters. "Turn around." "David, what is going on with the car?" Sarah asked. She sounded worried now. She sat up straight and looked out the windshield. "It's just a glitch," David lied. "Electronic stuff acts weird in storms sometimes." But he knew it wasn't the storm. He looked ahead. The headlights illuminated a sign on the side of the road. It was the same sign they had passed 10 minutes ago. Mile marker 42. David slammed on the brakes. The car skidded on the wet road before coming to a stop. "David, why did you stop?" Sarah yelled. "We passed this," David whispered. His hands were shaking on the wheel. "We passed this marker miles ago." "What are you talking about?" Sarah asked. "Look," David pointed. Standing under the mile marker sign was the figure. This time it was closer. It stood right on the white line of the road. The headlights shined directly on it, but the light seemed to disappear into its body. It was like a hole in the world. It had no eyes, but David could feel it staring at him. It was waiting. "Dad!" Leo cried from the back seat. "He is closer now!" Sarah screamed. She finally saw it. "David, drive! Just drive!" David didn't need to be told twice. He pressed the gas pedal to the floor. The car shot forward, swerving around the black figure. As they passed it, the car grew freezing cold. The windows fogged up instantly on the inside. For 1 second, just one terrifying second, the sound of the rain stopped completely. It was replaced by a low, deep growl that seemed to come from under the seats. Then, they were past it. The rain sound returned. The heat came back. "Don't look back!" David shouted. "Nobody look back!" He drove fast. Too fast for the rain, but he didn't care. He watched the miles tick down. 30 miles, 20 miles, 10 miles. The figure did not appear again. The radio stayed off. The GPS went back to normal. Soon, they saw the familiar lights of their town. They passed the grocery store, the gas station, and the park. They turned into their neighborhood. The streetlights were comforting. The houses were dark and quiet, sleeping safely in the rain. David pulled into their driveway. He pressed the button to open the garage door. The heavy door rolled up slowly. He drove the car inside and parked. He turned off the engine. The silence in the garage felt heavy. "Are we safe?" Leo asked. "Yes," Sarah said, unbuckling her seatbelt. Her hands were trembling. "We are home. We are safe." "Let's go inside," David said. "Quickly." They grabbed their bags and hurried into the house. David locked the door behind them. He turned the deadbolt and put the chain on. Then, he went to every window on the first floor and closed the curtains. He turned on every light in the house: the living room, the kitchen, the hallway. He wanted no shadows, no dark corners. Sarah made hot chocolate in the kitchen to calm everyone down. Leo sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. The TV was on, showing a bright cartoon. "It was just a prank," David told Sarah in the kitchen. "Someone dressed up in a suit trying to scare drivers. That's all." Sarah nodded, but she looked pale. "But the radio, the cold, how do you explain that?" "Fear makes us imagine things," David said. He was trying to convince himself more than her. They drank their hot chocolate. The clock on the wall ticked. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. It was 1 a.m. The rain was still falling outside, tapping on the roof. "I'm going to bed," Sarah said finally. "I'm exhausted." "Me too," David said. "Leo, come on, buddy. Bedtime." They walked upstairs. Leo's room was at the end of the hall. David tucked him in and turned on the nightlight. It cast a warm, orange glow in the room. "Dad?" Leo asked. "Yeah, sport?" "Can you check the closet?" David smiled weakly. "Sure." He opened the closet door. Nothing but clothes and toys. "See? Nothing there. You're safe." "Good night, Dad." David went to his own bedroom. He and Sarah changed into their pajamas. They brushed their teeth. They got into bed and turned off the lamp. The room plunged into darkness. David closed his eyes. He could still see that black shape on the road. He tried to push the image away. He listened to the rain. It was soothing. He started to drift off to sleep. Then, he heard it. It was a sound coming from downstairs. Creak. It was the sound of the loose floorboard in the living room, the one right by the front window. David's eyes snapped open. He lay perfectly still. Maybe it was the house settling. Old houses make noises. Step, step, step. It was not the house. Someone was walking. Slow, heavy footsteps. They were moving from the living room to the bottom of the stairs. David sat up. He reached for the baseball bat he kept under the bed. Sarah woke up. "David?" she whispered. "Shh," he hissed. "Listen." The footsteps stopped. Then, they heard a sound that made their blood turn to ice. It was the sound of a child giggling. But it wasn't Leo. It was a distorted, wet sound, like someone laughing with a mouth full of water. Then, a voice drifted up the stairs. It sounded like David's voice, but wrong. It was flat and monotone. "Leo, come downstairs. We are leaving again." David jumped out of bed. "No!" he screamed. He ran into the hallway. "Leo, don't open your door!" David ran to Leo's room. He burst through the door. The room was empty. The window was wide open. The rain was blowing in, soaking the carpet. The screen had been torn out. David ran to the window and looked down into the backyard. The rain was pouring down heavily now. The lightning flashed, lighting up the whole yard for a split second. In that flash of light, David saw them. Standing in the middle of the wet grass was the tall, black figure. It was holding Leo's hand. Leo was in his pajamas, looking small and fragile next to the Tower of Darkness. The figure looked up at the window. It had no face, but David knew it was smiling. David screamed his son's name. "Leo!" The figure raised a long black arm and pointed a finger at David. Then, the lightning flashed again. When the darkness returned, the yard was empty. The rain continued to fall, washing away the footprints in the mud. The only thing left was the open window, swinging back and forth in the wind. Creak, creak, creak. They never found Leo. And every time it rains now, David stands by the window, watching the road, waiting for the black shadow to bring him back home.